there are a total of 8 weapons that come from the tails of enemies you encounter in Dark Souls. These are weapons that are only attainable by cutting off the tail of a boss. For example, Priscilla's dagger is only available if you cut off her tail during the fight. In today's video, I attempted to beat Dark Souls by only using these 8 weapons. Real quick to go over the rules so we all understand. Rule number 1, all bosses, aside from the Asylum Demon, must be killed using a tail weapon. Rule number 2, all tail weapons must be used to kill a boss at least one time. And that's really it. In case you don't know every tail weapon in the game, I will quickly go over them. Remember, all of these are attainable by simply cutting off the tail of an enemy, by the way. First up is the Gargoyle Tail Axe from the Gargoyles fight. After that, we have the Drake Sword from the Hellkite Drake on top of the bridge after the Taurus Demon. The Gaping Dragon will give you the Demon King Great Axe, and once you hit Blighttown, you can head down to Ash Lake and you can get the Dragon Greatsword. Within the Painted World, you can obtain Priscilla's Dagger, and Seath will then give you the Moonlight Greatsword in the Duke's Archives. After that, within the DLC, the Sanctuary Guardian will give you the Guardian's Tail, and Calamite will reward you with the Obsidian Greatsword. Now that we are all on the same page, let's get into the run. I started off by naming my character Tails, as I saw it a fitting name for this run. I chose the Hunter class, and the reason for this was so I could do the cheese for the Drake Sword later on. Apart from that, I went with the Master Key, of course, because we will be needing it for the shortcut to Andre through Darkroot. We start off the run, and yes, I know, you can't beat Dark Souls using only tail weapons, unless you use a glitch or cheat to spawn in the tail weapon, but I chose to do it legit so I could get the authentic experience, and I'm too lazy to summon it myself. So for this, I got my sword, bow, and Asylum Demon went down. It was on to Lordran then, and I went all the way through the Undead Burg. Then I went over to find Andre, and before I get there, I take a short detour to introduce Havel to my friend Gravity. I've actually never done Havel without parrying, and I didn't think he was dying, and then his ankles broke for the final time, and it felt amazing. I did this so early because the weapons we will be using in the future are very heavy, and we will be needing more equip load in order to light roll, as you will see later in this video. I was able to make it over to Andre's bonfire, to which I then upgraded my short sword and dex. After this, I get the Firekeeper soul and go back down to Firelink. I run around, collect some souls and the chests quickly before turning in the Firekeeper soul to upgrade my Estus. After this, I made my way through a horde of undead who were very adamant about touching me, and the reason why I upgraded my short sword was the gargoyles. So let me explain. Once you hit the bonfire behind the Drake after the Taurus Demon, you can't get there without him leaving or killing the Taurus Demon, and the rule is you have to kill every boss with every tail weapon. So we couldn't leave the Drake Sword, hence I went to the gargoyles first and got the gargoyles tail axe in literally one swing. Remember, the rule is you have to kill the boss with a tail weapon. Nothing was said about harming a boss without one, but seriously, without spawning one in, I'm 99% sure this is the only way to do this. Either way, I could have equipped the axe and used it in the fight, but for some reason I decided to just die and come back later. Not even right away. Instead, I went over the moveset, which is pretty cool by the way. The heavy attack is this cool tail animation where it winds itself up. The light attack is a normal axe. But anyway, using the residence key, I got some gold pine resin and went up to fight the Taurus Demon. I still don't know why I went here instead of killing the gargoyles. I'm not expecting too much here, just normal plunge attack damage, and wait, is that just how good the gold pine resin is? I really hope not. That's actually really good damage. Anyway, Taurus Demon died in about 20 seconds, and that will be our first boss down. After this, it was time for the Drake cheese. I chose the Hunter for this, so I could have the bow and I could shoot his tail. I actually got concerned because by the time I got to the Drake Sword, I went through 28 arrows, meaning of the 30 it came with, I had 2 left. Not that the arrows are hard to get, but we did get the Drake Sword. Time to test it on gargoyles. Alright, let's see, and 152? Did it do bleed damage? I'm not sure what that was, but that's pretty good. Of course, we also had to try the heavy attack, which did about 180 damage. Not too much more than the light attack, but nonetheless, the Drake Sword, pretty good. And after the gargoyles went down, the first bell is now rung. Also, here's something funny for you guys. I'm not even sure when, but if you don't free Lautrec, he will eventually find his own way to Firelink Shrine. So I went back through the way you were supposed to get there in order to get the mystery key and free him, but when I got there, he was gone. I went to Firelink, and there he was. I tried to give Lautrec the Havel treatment, but I messed up the kick twice in a row, and then I just decided to fight him normally, which wasn't too bad. This then gave me the Ring of Favor and Protection, or the Ring of Fap for short. This helps both my stamina and health, and all the points going into strength later. This is so necessary. I also died to the Fallen Crust Warrior here. I'm not sure why I mentioned that, but he did die afterwards, giving me 1,000 souls. Anyways, it was now time to make my way to the second bell in Blighttown, and I could take the back way and completely completely skip Capra, but where's the fun in that? Of course, I did the skip to get there because after 5 playthroughs, I still don't know how to get there legitimately. After tickling the doggos, I go in, use a heavy attack to kill one of the dogs, kill the second, and then I panicked here for about 10 seconds against Capra himself. I literally almost died here and then proceeded to have my heart drop when I saw I only did 200 damage on a plunging attack. I knew the damage would fall off eventually, I just didn't think it'd be this soon. Thank the Lord though, it was only a fluke and I actually did pretty significant damage against him. I was then able to first try Capra Demon for my first time ever. What a good feeling. Onto the depths for our next tail weapon, the Dragon King Great Axe. Thankfully, Gaping Dragon decided to be very nice to me on this run and kindly let me chop off his tail while he just stood there. 3 of the 8 tails in and I killed Gaping Dragon with little difficulty after a few more Drake Sword hits. I went back up and tried to wield the axe with as much strength as I could level, but it still wasn't enough to two-hand it. I then entered the back way of Blighttown and found myself in the Great Hollow on the way to Ash Lake. So I hate the Great Hollow. This area sucks, it's terrifying to get cursed, but I was so dialed I had to make it out of here alive so I could just homeward bone out. I dropped through the hell of the Basilisk and I was honestly prepared to get cursed at any minute. I didn't though. I picked up the Claranthe ring and descended. I had no idea where to go. I just knew go down, and this was my first time in here and also my first time in Ash Lake. I saw the Hydra, but I didn't want to risk dying or hitting the bonfire and having to climb all the way out, so I booked it all the way to the dragon. No, like seriously, I was running like for minutes on end, terrified as the Hydra was chasing me. Thankfully, I made it there alive and I was able to get my first dragon scale of the run. More on that later. I took a few seconds to chop off his tail and I acquired the Dragon Greatsword. This thing is a beast, but more on that also later on. I lived and homeward boned out and onto Mildred. Oh, I died and I forgot to rest at the bonfire in Blighttown. I then decided to fight Quelaag with just the Drake Sword. I thought this was gonna go fine, and then I saw my moderately mid-mediocre damage. This was going to be a lot more effort than I thought. So much so that I actually died a few times. Quelaag actually gave me some trouble though. 4 deaths later, and I was able to kill her by remembering I've played the game before. And that is the second bell rung, and we are now ready for Sens Fortress. While I was here though, might as well do Ceaseless, and I did this with the Gargoyle Tail Axe just to get that number up to 2. Of course, I cheesed it for the easy souls, but not before I got blasted by his fire attack, instantly killing me. Anyway, look how much I've been pumping strength. I want to two-hand both the axe and the greatsword, so I've really just been trying to pump as much strength as possible. Time to leave Blighttown and check out Anor Londo. And while I was leaving, I decided to get the Firekeeper soul and die for fun, because why not? Anyway, with these new weapons before Anor Londo, I actually forgot I should probably go get the doll back and spawn for the painted world. So I did my best egg impression and headed back to say hi to the Asylum Demon's brother. Hello, good sir. For this fight, I used the Dragon King Great Axe, and yes, it did a pretty good amount of damage. I'm gonna be honest, the Black Knight Halberd is still better. I wasn't struggling at all, it was just dodge, attack, and running. Without any trouble, Stray Demon was now dead. The real trouble is this knight here. I got the doll, but I died to him here, and I needed those 20,000 souls back. I got the souls back, said goodbye to Oscar one last time, and with this, in preparation phase, I decided to kill Petrus and all the other cosplayers. I did this so I wouldn't have to fight them in the Tomb of the Giants later on, and also, you may be asking, have you upgraded your weapon yet? No. Every one of these weapons takes dragon scales and 10,000 souls per upgrade. I did not have the funds for this, and I just had to deal with it going into Anor Londo. But since I was only 2k souls away, I killed the Titanite Demon, got my souls, and then upgraded the Drake Sword to level 1. Speedrunning through Sens Fortress, I tried out the Dragon Greatsword, and it was kind of violating the Iron Golem. I knocked him over in 3 hits, and I decided to test the heavy attack, so it did about 411 damage. Pretty good, I'd say. The only issue is how heavy these weapons really are. They caused me to slow roll, but that really wasn't a problem in this fight. Iron Golem went down very easily, and now with the 4 of the 8 tail weapons I've used, all of them have been used to kill a boss, meaning so far, we are on pace to complete our challenge. And by the way, as I run here, the reason you suddenly see some overlays is because I decided to stream this time, so tune into those as well. Anyway, on to Ornstein and Smo. Shouldn't be too bad, maybe just some fat rolling, just ISO either one. Oh. So fat rolling is pretty bad. On a more serious note though, I literally tried everything here. No matter what happened, I would die. And the one time I killed Ornstein, I immediately died to Smo because he spammed his shovel attack and it insta-killed me every time. I truly didn't know what to do. I was stuck here for over 2 hours. A fight that is normally easy for me, I now was struggling the most I've ever struggled with any boss in Dark Souls. Instead of rage baiting myself, I decided to go tackle the painted world of Ariamis to get Priscilla's dagger. A little tumble here and a glitch fall there, and we are already on to Priscilla. So here at Priscilla, we needed her dagger by cutting off her tail, of course. And it's not dropped. Her health is literally too low for me to hit. She will die and I won't get it, so maybe the Drake sword will do better? I was hurting her tail so much this fight, and thank God himself I got the dagger as Priscilla was 2 hits away from death. For a little bit, I actually thought these weapons were not going to be able to get the dagger due to their swing paths, or because you need more dex or something weird like that. With Priscilla dead, it was back to Anor Londo to kill ONS. And the first fight back, I lost 6k souls. By the way, another issue I had with these weapons, the greatsword swings so slow. There is a good chance Ornstein could just hit me out of any animation I do. And my dear viewer, I thank you so much for watching, and I would like to say I technically didn't cheat based on the rules I laid out earlier, but I was so desperate I summoned another gamer. Meet Chosen Marcio, my savior and the reason I will be clearing ONS. Honestly, he kind of just did a lot of baiting and we really just took a 1v1 and I killed Ornstein on my own. I also ran through all my Estus, but we don't need to talk about that. Anyway, thanks to Marcio, I was able to clear Ornstein and Smo, but trust me, I felt horrible about this. I didn't even feel like I deserved it at all. Just know it is possible, but I was so pissed in the moment, I didn't even think it through. Anyway, we go up to see Guinevere and sorry about that. Shoot her and time for Gwendolyn. Yeah, just kidding, I'm weird, and some reason I went to Pinwheel now instead of Gwendolyn. I truly don't know why I'm like this. Like, watching this back genuinely just pisses me off. So I placed the Lordvessel and now it was time for Pinwheel. I skipped the entire catacombs because why torture myself anymore, and then I decided to use Priscilla's dagger for Pinwheel. I knew I'd be using debatably the worst weapon for this, and the dagger isn't bad, it's just all my stats were currently in strength, and I just had 20 dex just to hold the thing. Pinwheel ended up giving me the most trouble I've ever had on him, but I never died, so I guess it was fine. I think the main reason I did Pinwheel now was just to get the dagger out of the way so I don't have to worry about it later on. Anyway, now is the time I decided to do Gwendolyn. So I'm not gonna lie, this fight was very easy. If you played it super tediously, didn't try to roll at all, he was just dead. Fortunately, with these souls, I pumped more into endurance and strength, and here's what we are looking like after Anor Londo. After this, we needed to set up the DLC, so it was off to kill the Hydra, and holy shit, I didn't kill the Moonlight Butterfly. Alright, 4 hits later, and we're good. Also, please don't mind my footage here. I forgot to hit record, so this is low quality coming from my stream. After the Hydra, we killed the Golden Boy, and we are now ready for the DLC. While I was here, I tested my luck with Sif for the Covenant of Artorias, and thankfully, I didn't struggle too much. See, notice my Estus getting lower? That's clearly a sign of struggling. I blame these hits for not registering even though they are clearly hitting the boss. Still not sure how they didn't. Anyway, now we can fight the 4 kings. With these souls, combining this endurance with Havel's ring, I am finally able to quick roll with the greatsword. I even put on a sack for a little extra armor too. From here, I decided Lost Izalith was the play. It was not. Anyway, Demon Fire Sage was up first and I got smashed when he first saw me. Second try though, and he wasn't bad at all. He did his normal moveset and I was able to take him down with very little difficulty. After this, we needed to kill the Centipede Demon. How does he come over again? Was it here? Okay, I'm dead. Maybe I run over here? Okay, the fire kills me. Maybe if I go to the right and then move back? Alright, that didn't work either. So yeah, so I ended up doing this here. I put on the gold flamed armor in order to get all the way over here without dying to the lava on the right, and this made the Centipede Demon come towards me, and suddenly I was able to hit him. The only thing I needed to do was not get grabbed or jumped on. Also, did you know Centipede Demon has a grab attack? Because prior to this run, I had no idea he did. Anyways, Centipede Demon went down without too much difficulty, and next up was Bed of Just kidding. Bed of Chaos has a very low health pool. I think he literally has 1 HP. So for this, I decided I was going to use the Moonlight Greatsword. The reason for this is because it actually scales off of faith, which I was not gonna grind out for 28 faith. Instead, I speedrun through the Duke's archives, struggled with the boars for a bit, used the Ring of Sacrifice during Seath's first death, and then pondered how this giant greatsword hits this guard through this massive cage. I went around, eventually got the Firekeeper soul, and now it was time for Seath. Now to get the Moonlight Greatsword, you have to cut off Seath's tail. Nothing new, shouldn't be too hard, right? You need to hit it in such an exact spot, and I still am not sure what part of his tail that is. After trying for long enough, I actually had to look it up. Yeah, I YouTube things, no shame in it. Anyways, this didn't help. Thank you to Fish the One in chat for telling me this, but he said to use Seath's attack to stun him by destroying the crystal in the back of the room, to which I did and failed. And again, and a few more times. So upon this, I almost gave up. Almost. Then I thought, okay, it's probably hit based. I threw in my gargoyle tail axe and tried to hit as much as possible, and nothing happened. So for my final attempts, I thought, okay, it has to be damage based. And sure enough, after Seath stunned himself in about 4 hits with the demon great axe, the Moonlight Greatsword was mine. Also, yes, Seath killed me here. Yes, I wanted to die here. This is because I want to save him for the Sanctuary Guardian's Tale later on, since he is probably one of the easiest bosses left. Anyway, after this, I was now able to do the Bed of Chaos. For the first time ever, I was actually able to get both sides done in one run, and apparently just sticking to the inside after killing one of these sides works just fine. Now, once I get to the middle, which is probably the easiest part, that's where Chaosy Boy decided to turn it up a notch and troll me a little bit. I died here about 4 or 5 times, but finally I went through, and with my Moonlight Greatsword doing 15 damage, Bed of Chaos was now defeated. And if you're curious, here is what the cool charged attack looks like with the Moonlight Greatsword. Pretty cool. 60,000 souls later, I upgraded a little bit, and 6 out of the 8 tail weapons are now completed. Quick recap, we killed the Stray Demon with the Great Axe, Priscilla and many others with the Drake Sword, Butterfly and many others with the Dragon Great Sword, Pinwheel with Priscilla's Dagger, Taurus Demon with the Gargoyle Tail Axe, and now Bed of Chaos with the Moonlight Great Sword. All that's left is the Sanctuary Guardian's Tail and Calamete's Tail, which will probably be harder than Seath's. So at this point, we still have a few things to do. Seath, Nito, and the 4 Kings, as well as all of the DLC bosses. We absolutely need to do the DLC for the tails, unfortunately, and since we have so many bosses with 2 tail weapons left, there are still so many places to go. Ultimately, I decided to start by stepping foot into the DLC and getting the Sanctuary Guardian's Tail. After dying in typical Dark Souls fashion, it took literally 1 hit to sever his tail. I was even able to kill him in the same run, and like I said, Seath will be the one who dies to the Sanctuary Guardian's Tail, and the reason for this is, well, yeah, just look at these stats. Not too impressive of a lineup here. The only thing that this has going for it is the bleed damage. So let's take it to Seath and try it out. Hello Seath, I'm back. Keep in mind, this was the damage after I upgraded it to +6. Also, I couldn't get the bleed to proc, so I figured we should just get some more souls, and I bailed on Seath for now. And then I took my anger towards Nito, everyone's favorite boss. Literally, I'd rather fight 10 Bed of Chaos than Nito once. Before going in, I became human and said what's up to Leroy. Hey Leroy, check it out. I can one-hand my Ultra Greatsword now, so I can parry you. Good chunk of damage there, and 20k souls. Let's not lose those here. So I actually didn't know that Leroy gives you 20k souls, so then I went back to Anor Londo to upgrade the Guardian's Tail even more. I got it to level 9 and then went back to Nito. It went so badly. I was literally dying to everything at Nito. His shockwave, the skeletons, and the worst part, I tried using the Greatsword's heavy attack to hit him and the skeletons, but without armor, I would get knocked out of it from 1 skeleton hit. Also, it didn't help that Nito kept using his stupid ground sword attack, which is definitely easy and fun to dodge. Seriously, this boss. He's waiting for now. Instead, I need to kill Seath. Hey Seath, I'm back for the 3rd time. Can I please have you die to this abysmally bad weapon? It wasn't easy, but after 10 minutes and 12 seconds of straight up doing 60 damage per hit, Seath died. The fight wasn't hard per se. My issue was just sometimes getting caught in the crystals. Also, I ran out of Estus, so mid-fight I had to put on humanity. Thankfully, Seath moves very slow, and you can kind of hide yourself within the boss for a bit. And remember what I said about bleed not proccing? During this 10-minute fight, I never once got it to proc. I'm pretty sure Seath is either immune to it, or just it didn't do enough damage. Nonetheless, that was easily the longest fight I've ever had against the Scaleless, and I'd like to never do that again. That is now 7 out of 8 tail weapons down. After Seath, I did not want to go back to Nito, so instead I stepped back into Ulasil to attempt Artorias. After forgetting his attacks, I don't think he's going to be much of an issue. The issue now consists of getting Calamete's tail, killing Manus, and Nito. This here is where I paused the run and decided decided to do some research. I was currently using this ultra greatsword. The issue is it swings very slow. Very slow. It also weighs a lot. I looked into it. The obsidian greatsword from Calamite is not an ultra greatsword. This means many things. It will swing faster and it will weigh less, meaning I can put armor on. With this information, I decided to run through Artorias and then Calamite, saving Manus for the last DLC boss. Artorias was, well, not really bad at all. I used the ultra greatsword and it made me realize how much of an attack window you actually have against him. Sure, he's aggressive, but I only died twice in total. Once I just focused on dodging and trading blows, suddenly he became a super easy boss. This was mainly due to the high damage I was doing, but I still love this fight. And next up, you may think it's Manus, but no, I decided to run through Ulasil for the crest key and kill Calamite. Once I got the crest key, Goff pings him out of the air and I go in and discover why people say it is so hard to cut Calamite's tail off. At first, I thought it'd be on the ground always. It was not. Then I thought I can chase it and he'll do tail attacks. He did not. Then I thought, okay, YouTube video time. Yeah, I watched another YouTube video. I have no shame about it. Besides, it didn't even help. I got it to work one time and I still had no idea what I was doing. The main thing about Calamite's tail is where you stand, where you hit it, and the specific attack pattern you need. I'm pretty sure you can use Havel's armor to just poise lock everything, but the way I went with was waiting for him to do his flying charge attack, rolling towards him, and then you have to stand directly under his tail. So if you want to do this for yourself, you need to stand directly under his tail, otherwise he would just kind of shy away instantly. It will take some time, but it is possible. After 3 tries, I ended up doing it, and then trying to kill him in the same run, I died. And by the way, Calamite looks really weird without his tail. You kind of don't realize it until you've done it. As for my first test of the obsidian greatsword, it was ironically on Calamite himself. It did a little over 100 damage and 180 with a charged attack, which, by the way, the charge attack for this weapon is a super cool fire field that emits out from you. It's awesome. I took another 10-minute fight here, and since I just took 30 minutes trying to get his tail, I was already locked in on his patterns, and a few too many running attacks later, Calamite succumbs to his own tail. And that's it. Every single tail weapon has been used to kill a boss, and you will see in a second how every boss will also die to a tail weapon. Before that though, for some reason I decided to go get the 4 kings out of the way, and I typically struggle with this area and the 4 kings themselves, but despite my low damage and having 3 kings on the field at the end, I did learn a few things. Number 1, you don't have to kill every king, you just have to finish the HP bar. 2, there is an arena barrier here. You can literally see me rolling into it here at the end. I didn't know this was possible. And with the 4 kings dead, the last Lord Soul is Nito. Alright. So for Nito, I was sick of the skeletons, and that was literally my biggest concern. So instead, I went to Blighttown and started farming the large club dudes. I got it in 3 tries, made it divine, soul farmed and upgraded it a bit, and then took it to Nito. And then, this is kind of now the easiest fight I've ever done. I will now be doing this with every single playthrough I do. The skeletons died and they stayed dead, and Nito was probably the easiest boss I've ever fought. It was not difficult at all because the boss fight is literally the reviving skeletons. So we are now done with all the Lord Souls. And by the way, in case you guys were wondering, Nito died to the obsidian greatsword as well. Our last boss is a speedrun to Manus. I used the same thing I did against Calamite, but with my friend V. I wasn't really sure what he was doing, but he came in clutch. I'm just gonna be honest, I didn't break any of the challenge rules. I'd even got off the killing blow if we get technical here, but I just wanted Manus dead. I did not feel like fighting him doing 100 damage per swing. And thanks to V, even though we died once, we then killed him the next time. I'm going to be honest, if I didn't use a summon, I was going to use the bow cheese. So delete your comments now, I don't care enough. Manus is my most hated fight in the entire game. That's not true, Nito exists. Manus is my second most hated boss fight in the entire game, and I don't care to spend another 30-minute boss fight doing 100 damage a swing. So anyway, it was finally time for Gwyn. I tried the obsidian greatsword first, and yeah, that's not gonna be enough damage. Oh well, nothing a dragon greatsword and hornet ring can't fix. Yeah, Gwyn, try to stop me now. Okay, I'm convinced the bridge is the real final boss of this fight. Anyways, after dying to Gwyn a few times because I can't parry, eventually I got a good loop in, and that was it. With the final parry, and I kind of kicked him when he got up. I didn't mean to though. And I did a light attack to finish off Gwyn. Just like that, my first official Dark Souls challenge run was completed. This journey was so special, and all I ask is for a like and subscribe. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. Here in the background, I was breaking all of my weapons' durability as a send-off. This was pretty fun and also pretty hard. I played very differently than I ever have in Dark Souls, and I just hope you got the same enjoyment out of it that I did. Also, if you attempt this challenge, this can act as an unofficial official guide to help you on your journey. Again, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.